Listen to me. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care how many times life has knocked you down. I don't care how many people told you that you couldn't do it. You were not made to stay down. You were not made to quit. You were made to rise. You were made to fight. You were made to fight. You were made to endure. That is resiliency. That is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Resiliency is not something you're born with. It is something you build every single day. It is forged in the fire of failure, in the grind of struggle, and in the moments when everyone else has given up, but you keep going. Every setback, every no, every failure is fuel to push harder, to climb higher, to reach farther than you ever thought possible. Let me tell you something. Adversity does not define you. Your response to adversity defines you. When life hits you, you have two choices. You can fold or you can fight. You can cry. You can conquer. You can give up or you can rise up. Resiliency is about making a choice to rise. It's about waking up every day and saying, I will not be defeated. I will not quit. I will not settle. Resiliency is built in the mind first. You see, your mind is the battlefield. Your body can get tired, your emotions can shake, but your mind is your strongest weapon. When doubt creeps in, when fear whispers, when pain screams, your mind decides whether you will stay down or rise stronger. Train your mind. Feed it courage. Feed it determination. Feed it vision. Because a strong mind will carry you through the hardest storms. And don't wait for motivation. Motivation is a spark. It fades. Resiliency is a fire. It burns continuously. Showing up, putting in the work, pushing yourself, even when you feel like you can't. Habits create resiliency. Consistency creates resiliency. Your grind, your daily hustle, your refusal to quit. This is what builds an unshakable spirit. Listen carefully. Failure is not your enemy. Failure is your teacher. Every mistake you make, every time you fall, every door that closes is giving you information. It's teaching you how to be better. Resilient people do not fear failure. They embrace it. They study it. They learn from it, and they come back stronger. When life knocks you down, make sure you bounce higher. But don't do it alone. Surround yourself with warriors, people who lift you, people who challenge you, people who remind you of your greatness. Resiliency grows in the right environment. If you are surrounded by negativity, by doubters, by people who tell you you can't, your strength will weaken. Your strength will weaken. Seek out those who encourage, inspire, and push you to levels you never thought possible. See the life you want, even if it's not in front of you yet. Visualize it. Picture yourself overcoming. Picture yourself winning. Picture yourself achieving the impossible. That vision will pull you through the darkest days. Resiliency is powered by purpose, and purpose is powered by vision. Life will not always go according to plan, and that's okay. Resiliency is not rigid. It is flexible, it bends, it bends, it adapts, it overcomes. If plan A fails, move to plan B. If plan B fails, move to plan C. Do not stop, do not quit, adapt, pivot, keep moving. Every obstacle is a stepping stone to your greatness. And finally understand this, resilience is bigger than you. It is about purpose. It is about serving something greater than yourself. When your why is clear, your endurance is effortless. When you know your struggle serves a bigger mission, setbacks become lessons, challenges become opportunity, and quitting is never an option. You were born to rise. You were born to overcome. You were born to inspire others through your struggle. So listen to me again, stand up, lift your head, take a deep breath, and declare the world. I will not be broken. I will not be defeated. I will rise. Resilience, not just surviving, it is thriving in the face of adversity. It is rising every time life knocks you down. It is the relentless refusal to quit, the courage to face your fear, and the determination to achieve what others say is impossible. Remember this, you are stronger than your struggles. You are tougher than your pain. You are bigger than your failures. And as long as you keep fighting, keep pushing, keep showing up, and keep believing, nothing in this world can stop you. That is resiliency, that is greatness, that is you. Resiliency is a choice, not a circumstance. I want you to hear me carefully, because it's something that too many people miss. Life is not fair. Life is messy. Life will throw things at you that you don't deserve, that you didn't ask for. That make no sense. People will disappoint you. Situations will challenge you. Doors will close. Opportunities will vanish. Friends will turn away. Family may fail you. Jobs may be lost. Dreams may be delayed. And in those moments, in that chaos, most people do one thing. They give up. They quit. They let life define them. But I'm here to tell you something different. You are not defined by your circumstances. You are not defined by the struggle, by the setbacks, or by the people who have failed to support you. You are defined by the choice you make to keep going, to keep moving forward, to rise when life knocks you down. That is what resiliency is. It's not about what happens to you. It's about what you decide to do when it happens. Now I need you to understand this. Resiliency doesn't wait for things to be perfect. It doesn't wait for everyone to support you. It doesn't wait for life to give you a smooth path. Resiliency says, I don't care about my circumstances. I'm going to act anyway. I'm going to push anyway. I'm going to keep moving anyway. And the reason this is so powerful is because life will never stop testing you. It's like a fire, constantly putting you to the test. And if you want to come out stronger, you must choose to endure, to fight, and to persist, no matter how hot the fire gets. It's your choice to be resilient that determines whether you burn up in the fire or you come out forged, stronger than you ever were before. Let me tell you something else. Resiliency is not for the faint of heart. It's not for those who wait for someone else to rescue them. It's not for people who want life to give them a perfect setup. Resilience for those who recognize that life is going to be messy and still say, I'm going to rise. But think about the greatest people who have ever lived, the ones you admire. Do you think they got everything easy? No, it got everything easy. Do you think they had perfect circumstances? Absolutely not. Every one of them had challenges. Every one of them had setbacks. Every one of them had moments where they could have quit and nobody would have blamed them. But they didn't quit. They made a choice. And that choice is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. You see, people often confuse resiliency with luck. They say, oh, he's resilient because things went his way. No, no, no. Resiliency is not about luck. Resiliency is about courage. It's about commitment. It's about saying, I will not let my circumstances dictate my life. I will not let pain, failure, or disappointment determine I will rise. I will fight and I will succeed because I choose to. That's what it is. It's a choice, plain and simple. And let me break this down for you even further. Life will come at you fast. It will throw problems at you that you did not plan for. People will betray you. You will face financial setbacks. You will face heartbreak. You will face health challenges. And in the midst of all of this, most people fold. Oh, they give up. They say, I can't handle this. But resiliency is different. Resiliency says, I'm going to handle it. I may struggle. I may fall. I may even fail a few times, but I'm not going to stay down. I will get back up. I will keep going and I will persevere. That is what makes resiliency a choice. It's a decision you make every single day to keep showing up, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many times you're knocked down. Think about a tree in a storm. The wind is blowing, the rain is pouring, and the storm is relentless. Most trees will break, most trees will break, most trees will fall. But some trees bend, some trees sway. They may look beaten down, they may look like they're struggling, but they survive. Why? Because they choose to bend instead of breaking. They adapt, they endure. That is exactly what resiliency is in human life. It's not about avoiding the storm. It's about learning how to bend without breaking, how to endure without giving up, how to keep standing even when the world wants to knock you down. And the key here is this. It's a choice. You choose to bend. You choose to bend. You choose to ride. Nobody else can make that choice for you. Now, I want to tell you something very real. People will try to tell you that you can't. They will tell you it's impossible. They will point out every reason why you should quit. They will say, you don't have what it takes, or where you're too weak, or it's not your time. And if you let that influence you, you will never rise. But resiliency is choosing to ignore the noise, to ignore the negativity, to ignore the doubters, and to keep moving forward anyway. You are stronger than the opinions of others. You are more capable than the doubts that try to creep into your mind. You are more resilient than the circumstances that try to stop you. But it all comes down to one thing, a choice. Choose to rise. Let's talk about action. Resiliency is not passive. It's not sitting around hoping things get better. It's getting up and taking action, even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when you feel like you can't. Action builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds strength. And that cycle is what makes resiliency grow. You cannot be resilient by waiting. You become resilient by acting, by showing up, by refusing to quit. Every single day you make that choice. And some days that choice will be harder than others. Someday you will feel like you're at the end of your rope. Some days you will cry, you will stumble, and you will question yourself. That is normal. That is human. But the difference is that resilient people don't stay down, they rise, they act. They push forward. They choose resilience. I also need you to understand that resiliency is not a one-time decision. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of approaching life. Every morning, every hour, every moment, you are faced with challenges. And every time you get to choose, give up or rise. That is the power of resiliency. It's a choice you make over and over again until it becomes a habit, until it becomes who you are. You don't wait for circumstances to change. You change yourself. You change your mindset. You change your actions. That is how you build resilience. And here's the truth about resilience. Transforms you. When you make the choice to be resilient, you start seeing life differently. You see obstacles as opportunity. You see setbacks as lessons. You see pain as a teacher. You see challenges as tests of your courage. You start understanding that the circumstances do not define you. You define yourself by how you respond, by the choice you make, by the effort you put in, by the decision to rise again and again, no matter what. That is true resilience. I want you to look in the mirror right now, in your mind, if not in reality, and tell yourself, I choose to be resilient. I will not let my circumstances control me. I will rise no matter what. Say it with me. I will rise. I will fight. I will endure. I will persist. I will be resilient because it is my choice and I refuse to quit. Because here's what I promise you. Life will keep testing you. It will keep challenging you. It will keep knocking you down. But the more you make the choice to be resilient, the stronger you get. The more you rise, the more confident you become. The more obstacles you face and overcome, the more unshakable you grow. And eventually life doesn't seem as scary. The storms don't seem as strong. The setbacks don't seem as insurmountable because you have built the habit of rising, the habit of choosing, the habit of being resilient no matter what. So remember this always. Resiliency is not about what happens to you. It is not about what life throws at you. It is not about the people who leave you behind or the circumstances that seem impossible. Resiliency is about the choice you make. Every time life hits you, every time the storm rages, every time someone tells you it's impossible, you have the choice. Quit or rise. And when you choose to rise, you discover the power, the strength, and the greatness that you always had inside of you. That is the essence of resiliency. That's why resiliency is not a circumstance, it's a choice. And if you commit to that choice, if you decide right now that no matter what comes, you will rise, you will endure, you will persist, you will fight, then I guarantee you, there is nothing in this world that can stop you. Nothing that can break you, nothing that can hold you down. You will. Resiliency is your power, and it begins the moment you choose it. And so I say to you, don't wait for life to be perfect. Don't wait for people to support you. Don't wait for circumstances to align. Make the choice now. Decide that no matter what happens, you will rise. Decide that no matter how hard life gets, you will keep moving. Decide that every setback, every failure, every disappointment, every hardship is an opportunity to grow stronger, because that is what resiliency is. That's what it means to be unshakable. That is what it means to live life on your terms, refusing to let circumstances define you. You have the power. You have the choice. And the choice is yours. Rise. Failure is not the end, it's a lesson. I want you to understand this deeply because so many people get it twisted. They think that when they fail, that's it. They think that one setback, one mistake, one missed opportunity, or one rejection defines them forever. But let me tell you something. Failure is not permanent unless you let it be. Failure is not a tombstone marking the end of your journey. It is a stepping stone, a lesson, a teacher, a guide, a test to see if you have what it takes to rise, to grow, to push harder. And here's the truth, every successful person you admire has failed. Every single one of them. The difference is not that they didn't fall. The difference is that they learned, they adapted, and they got back up. That's what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. I want you to think about failure for a second. Failure is uncomfortable. It's painful. It stings. It humiliates. It makes you question yourself. It makes you doubt. And that's why most people run from it. They hide from it. They deny it. They pretend it doesn't exist. But the resilient, the successful, the unstoppable, they embrace it. They lean into the pain. They study the failure. They dissect it. They figure out what went wrong, what they could have done better, and how to improve next time. Failure is feedback. It's their universe giving you a message. Adjust, refine, and keep going. If you learn that lesson, you grow. If you ignore it, you stay the same. And the choice is yours. Listen to me closely. You cannot fear failure if you want to succeed. Fear will paralyze you. Fear will keep you in your comfort zone. Then fear will stop you from taking risks, from chasing your dreams, from going after what you really want. But failure is not something to fear. It is something to welcome because it is proof that you are trying. You are pushing, you are reaching, you are taking action. And action, my friends, is the only thing that produces results. So when failure comes, don't be afraid. Say thank you. Say, I appreciate the lesson. I will use this to get better. That's the mindset of a person who refuses to be defeated. And here's another truth. Failure is never a straight line. Life doesn't work like that. You will stumble. You will fall. You will make mistakes. You will have bad days, bad months, maybe even bad years. And in those moments, you have to remember that failure is temporary. It's a moment in time, not a permanent state of being. The moment you decide to quit, the moment you give up, is the moment failure becomes permanent. But if you get up, if you take that lesson and move forward, failure becomes fuel. It becomes motivation. It becomes the energy that propels you toward your next victory, toward your next breakthrough, toward your next breakthrough, toward your next success. I want you to picture a boxer in the ring. That boxer will get hit. They will get knocked down. They will stumble. But the champion is not the one who never gets knocked down. It's the one who keeps getting up. Every time they fall, they rise. Every time they get hurt, they recover. Every time they face defeat, they fight back harder. That is the essence of resilience. That is the essence of turning failure into a lesson. You are not defined by how hard you fall. You are defined by how fast and how strong you get back up. Now, I need you to think about your own life for a second. How many times have you quit because you failed? How many dreams have you set aside because of one mistake? How many opportunities have you missed because you were too afraid to try again after falling? I want you to know this right now. Every failure, every setback, every disappointment is an invitation to rise. It's a chance to get stronger, wiser, and better prepared for the next challenge. The moment you view failure as a lesson rather than an end, your perspective changes. You stop seeing obstacles as roadblocks and start seeing them as stepping stones. And here's another thing you need to hear. Failure is personal. That's right. The pain of failure cuts deep, infects your pride, your confidence, your self-esteem. It shakes you to your core. But that's why it's so powerful. Because failure doesn't just teach you skills, it teaches you character. It teaches you perseverance. It teaches you humility. It teaches you patience. It teaches you grit. And when you internalize those lessons, you are no longer the same person you were before the failure. You are stronger. You are wiser. You are more prepared. That is the gift of failure, but only if you choose to see it that way. Let's be real for a moment. The world doesn't care about your failure. Nobody is going to hand you a trophy for falling down. Nobody's going to pat you on the back for getting it wrong. Success doesn't reward you for failing. It rewards you for learning, adapting, and then taking action despite the failure. So if you want to succeed, you must embrace failure as part of the process. You must study it. You must grow from it, and you must use it as the foundation for your next move. That's how champions are made. That's how leaders are built. That's how dreams become reality. I also want you to understand that failure is not always obvious. Sometimes failure is subtle. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes it creeps into your life quietly through small mistakes, poor decisions, or missed opportunity. And if you are not paying attention, it can accumulate and feel overwhelming. But here's the thing, recognizing failure is the first step to learning from it. Ignoring it will only make it worse. Face your failures head on. Don't run. Understand why they happen. Ask yourself, what can I learn? How can I grow? How can I do better next time? That is the mindset of someone who refuses to be defeated. That's the mindset of someone who turns failure into fuel. I need you to hear this loud and clear. Failure is not a reflection of your work. It is not a judgment of your potential. It is not a permanent mark of who you are. It is simply a teacher. It is simply feedback. It is simply an opportunity to grow, adapt, and improve. The moment you take failure personally, the moment you allow it to define you, is the moment you stop learning. But when you take failure as a lesson, as a guide, as a roadmap, then you turn it into power. You turn it into momentum. You turn it into the very thing that propels you forward. Let me give you an example. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before he invented the light bulb. Thousands. And yet he didn't see those failures as the end. He saw each failure as a lesson, as a step closer to success. He once said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's the mindset you need. That's the perspective you must adopt. Failure is not a stop sign. It is a guidepost. It is pointing you in the direction you need to go. And if you embrace it, if you study it, if you learn from it, you will get closer and closer to your goal every single time you fall. And here's one more truth. Failure builds resilience. Every time you fail and get back up, you become stronger. Every time you face rejection and keep going, you become tougher. Every time you stumble and recover, you grow in courage and determination. The world will test you. Life will challenge you. But the more you fail, the more lessons you learn, the more resilient you become. And eventually those failures won't feel so painful anymore because you will have learned how to turn them into power, into fuel, into action, into results. So I want you to make a commitment right now. Look at every failure you face, every setback, every mistake, every disappointment, and make a decision. I will not let this define me. I will not quit. I will not be defeated. I will take the lesson. I will grow. I will adapt, and I will rise stronger than before. Say it with me. A failure is not the end. Failure is a lesson. I will learn. I will grow. I will rise. Because the moment you adopt that mindset, everything changes. The fear goes away. The doubt disappears. The hesitation fades. You start moving with confidence. You start taking risks. You start chasing your dreams with courage. You start living life with purpose. And here's the most important thing I want you to remember. The greatest successes often come after the greatest failures. That's right. Many people quit just before their breakthrough. They give up just before the victory. They surrender just before the win. But those who persevere, those who study the lessons, those who rise after failing, those are the ones who achieve greatness. Those are the ones who leave a mark. Those are the ones who inspire the world. You can be that person. You can rise from every failure, every setback, every disappointment, and create a life of impact, success, and fulfillment. So don't run from failure. Don't veer. Don't let it paralyze you. You embrace it. Learn from it. Let it shape you. Let it teach you. Let it guide you. Let it fuel you. And then get up and keep moving forward. Because failure is not the end. It is a lesson, the stepping stone, the opportunity that prepares you for everything you are meant to achieve. And when you finally get there, when you finally rise above it all, you will look back and realize that every failure, every setback, every moment you thought you couldn't go on was exactly what you needed to get stronger, wiser, and ready for greatness. Your mindset determines your bounce back power. I want you to hear me clearly because this is the truth that most people never understand. Life is going to hit you. Life is going to challenge you. Life is going to throw obstacles in your way that make no sense. Opportunities will disappear. Relationships will fracture. You will face failure. You will face disappointments. And the question is not whether life will knock you down. The question is, how are you going to respond when it does? That, my friends, is determined by your mindset. Your mindset, your way of thinking, your inner beliefs are what determine whether you bounce back stronger or collapse under pressure. And I want you to understand, this is not something you are born with. This is something you choose to develop, something you cultivate, something you feed every single day. Think about it. Two people can experience the same challenge, the same failure, the same setback, and respond in completely different ways. One person lets it destroy them. They feel hopeless. They feel helpless. They let fear and doubt take over. They tell themselves, I can't do this. I'll never recover. I'll never make it. And guess what? That becomes their reality. The mind is powerful. If you believe you can't, you won't. If you tell yourself you're defeated, you are defeated. On the other hand, the other person faces the same challenge and said, this is hard, this is painful, but I will learn, I will adapt, I will rise. That person finds solutions, that person grows. That person uses the setback as fuel, and that, my friends, is the power of mindset. It determines your bounce back power. I need you to understand something important. Mindset is not just thinking positively, it's not just repeating affirmation. Mindset is a deep internal belief that no matter what happens, you have the ability, the strength, and the resilience to rise again. It is a belief that you are capable of handling challenges, overcoming adversity, and achieving your goals. It is a belief that failure is not final and that setbacks are temporary. It is a belief that no matter how hard life hits you, you have the power to get back up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. That's what mindset is. That's what creates bounce back power. Let's break this down further. When adversity strikes, your first reaction is critical. Most people react emotionally, react out of fear, react out of doubt. They panic, they worry, they stress. And in that state, they make poor decisions. Well, someone with a resilient mindset reacts differently. They pause, they assess, they focus on what they can control. They refuse to be ruled by fear. They refuse to be ruled by negative emotion. They choose to think strategically, to act decisively, and to use the challenge as an opportunity. And that, my friends, is why mindset is everything. Your thoughts control your actions control your results, and your results determine your future. Now, I need you to hear this loud and clear. Your mindset is not fixed. It can be developed, strengthened, and transformed. Every day you have a choice about the thoughts you entertain, the beliefs you hold, and the attitudes you adopt. You can choose to focus on limitations, obstacles, and reasons why you can't. Or you can choose to focus on possibilities, solutions, and reasons why you can. You can choose to let setbacks define you, or you can choose to let them refine you. You can choose to let life beat you down, or you can choose to rise stronger. That is the power of mindset. That's why it determines your bounce back power. Think about athletes, champions, and elite performers. They don't succeed because life is easy for them. They succeed because their mindset is unshakable. When they lose, they don't dwell on the loss. They analyze, they adapt, and they come back stronger. When they face injury, they don't quit. They work harder, they rehabilitate, they push through. When they encounter criticism, they don't crumble. They use it as motivation, as feedback, as fuel. That is the power of mindset. That is what creates resilience. That is what allows you to bounce back from anything. Let me tell you something else. Mindset also determines your perception of failure. When you have a strong, resilient mindset, failure is not a threat. It's an opportunity. It's feedback. It's a lesson. It's a chance to grow, to improve, to get better. When you have a weak or negative mindset, failure is devastating. It's proof that you're not enough. It's proof that you should give up. And the difference between the two mindsets is what separates success from stagnation. Your mind, your beliefs, your thoughts, these are the tools that shape your reality. And if you want to bounce back, you have to cultivate a mindset that sees possibility, that embraces challenges, and that refuses to be defeated. I want you to think about your own life for a moment. How many times have you been knocked down and stayed down? How many times have you let fear, doubt, or negative thoughts keep you from trying again? How many opportunities have you missed because your mindset was not strong enough to push through adversity? I want you to know something right now. That ends today. Your mindset can change. Your bounce back power can change. Your ability to recover, to rise, and to move forward can change. But it starts with a decision to think differently, a decision to believe differently, a decision to refuse to be defeated. And here's another truth. Mindset also influences your consistency. The stronger your mindset, the more persistent you become. The more resilient your thinking, the more determined your action. Because bouncing back is not a one-time event. It's a process. It's a habit. It's a lifestyle. Every time you encounter a challenge, every time life knocks you down, every time you face a setback, your mindset determines whether you get up or stay down. And the more you practice resilient thinking, the more natural it becomes. You begin to see challenges as normal, setbacks as temporary, and obstacles as opportunities. That is the power of mindset. Let me break this down even further. Your mindset controls your emotions. When life hits, your emotions will try to control you. Fear, anger, frustration, sadness, all of these feelings will rise up. And if you let them, they will paralyze you. They will hold you back. They will prevent you from bouncing back. But when you cultivate the right mindset, your thoughts control your emotions. You decide how to respond. You decide how to act. You decide whether to give in or push forward. That's what gives you bounce back power. That's what gives you control over your life. Now, I need you to hear me. Mindset also requires self-awareness. You must know your triggers. You must know your weaknesses. You must know the thoughts that hold you back. And then you must actively work to replace them with empowering beliefs. You cannot leave your mindset to chance. You cannot allow negative thoughts to run wild in your mind. You must feed your mind with positive, constructive, resilient thoughts. You must tell yourself, I can handle this. I will rise. I will overcome. I will succeed. You must make that a habit, a routine, a constant practice. Because your mindset determines whether life's punches break you or strengthen you. And here's another thing I want you to hear. Mindset influences your vision. When you have a resilient mindset, you see opportunities where others see obstacles. You see growth where others see failure. You see possibilities where others see dead ends. That is why mindset is so powerful. It shapes not only how you react to challenges, but also how you perceive the world around you. It opens doors. It creates solutions. It fuels creativity. It drives determination. And it gives you the courage to keep moving forward no matter what life throws at you. I also need to tell you that developing a strong mindset is not always easy. It requires discipline. It requires effort. It requires commitment. It requires that you face your fear, confront your doubts, and push through discomfort. But the payoff is enormous. When you strengthen your mind, you strengthen your bounce back power. You strengthen your resilience. You strengthen your ability to rise after any fall, to recover after any loss, to keep moving when everything seems impossible. That is priceless. That is life-changing. That is the difference between mediocrity and greatness. So I want you to make a commitment right now. Decide today that no matter what happens, you will cultivate a mindset that empowers you. Decide that no matter how hard life hits, you will bounce back stronger. Decide that every setback will be a setup for growth. Say it with me. I will control my thoughts. I will control my beliefs. I will control my mindset. I will rise. I will bounce back. I will succeed. Because when you make that decision, when you embrace that truth, there is no obstacle too big, no setback too severe, no challenge too difficult to overcome. And finally, remember this. Mindset is the foundation of everything. Your thoughts shape your actions, shape your results. Your results shape your life. If your mindset is weak, your bounce back power will be weak. If your mindset is strong, resilient, and unshakable, your bounce back power will be unstoppable. And when you combine mindset with action, persistence, and belief, there is nothing in this world that can keep you down. There is nothing that can stop you. There's nothing that can prevent you from achieving greatness. So I want you to rise today with a mindset that refuses to be defeated. I want you to embrace challenges as opportunities. I want you to see failure as feedback. I want you to know that no matter what happens, you have the power to bounce back, to recover, to rise stronger, and to keep moving forward. Your mindset is your most powerful tool. Use it wisely, cultivate it daily, protect it fiercely, and never forget, your bounce back power is determined by your mindset, and your mindset is determined by the choices you make every single day. Consistency builds resilience. Now, I want you to hear me clearly, because this is the truth that separates those who succeed from those who give up. Most people want results overnight. They want success to come fast, easy, and without struggle. They want the rewards without the work. But I'm here to tell you that resiliency is not built in a day. Strength is not developed overnight. Success does not come from luck. It comes from consistency. Showing up every day, doing the work, pushing through even when you don't feel like it. That is how resilience is built. That is how you become unshakable. That is how you rise no matter what life throws at you. Think about the strongest people you know, the most successful people you admire. Do you think they only worked hard when they felt like it? Do you think they gave up after the first obstacle? Absolutely not. They showed up day in and day out, even when it was hard, even when no one was watching, even when it seemed like their efforts were going unnoticed. That is consistency. That is the daily grind. That is the repetition that builds resilience. The human mind, the human body, and the human spirit grow stronger through repeated effort. That is why consistency matters more than talent, more than luck, more than opportunity. I want you to understand something right now. Consistency is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It doesn't feel like victory in a moment. It's repetitive. It's boring sometimes. It's uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Every small action, every step forward, every effort you make, even when it seems insignificant, it adds up over time. That is the compounding effect of consistency. And when you commit to being consistent, when you commit to showing up no matter what, that is when your resilience grows. That is when you start becoming unstoppable. Let me tell you something else. Life is going to challenge you. Life is going to test you. And in those moments, most people quit because they want immediate results. They want everything to happen fast. They want instant gratification. But resiliency is not about instant results. It's about showing up consistently, even when the world doesn't reward you right away. It's about putting in the work when no one is watching. It's about practicing patience while maintaining effort. That is the mark of a person who will rise again and again. That is the mark of someone who refuses to be defeated. That is the mark of resilience. Think about a sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone. They don't finish the sculpture in one strike. They chip away little by little, day after day, stroke by stroke. The sculpture emerges slowly, gradually over time. That is exactly how consistency builds resilience. Every small effort, every small victory, every small step forward shapes you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable. The setbacks, the challenges, the obstacles, they all become part of your training, part of your development, part of the process that builds an unshakable spirit. I want you to hear this. Consistency creates confidence. When you show up every day, when you do the work, when you push through the difficulty, you begin to trust yourself. You begin to believe that you are capable. You begin to realize that you can endure pain, overcome setbacks, and handle challenges. And that confidence feeds resilience. The more consistent you are, the stronger your mind becomes. The stronger your habits become. The stronger your ability to recover from failure becomes. That is why consistency is not just a habit, it's a superpower. Now, I need you to understand this. Consistency is also about discipline. It's about doing what you need to do, even when you don't feel like it. It's about committing to your goals, to your growth, to your purpose, even when life gets hard. You may be tired, you may be discouraged, you may face criticism, doubt, or rejection. But if you stay consistent, if you keep showing up, you will eventually see the results. And those results will reinforce your resilience, proving to you that you are stronger than any obstacle, tougher than any setback, and capable of more than you ever imagined. Think about athletes, the champions, the legends. They don't win because of one great day of effort. They win because of relentless consistency. They train every day, rain or shine, tired or motivated, injured or healthy. They push themselves when no one is watching. They repeat drills, workouts, routines, and practices over and over until their body and mind are conditioned to endure anything. That is how resilience is built, through the repetition of small, disciplined actions over time. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. I want you to look at your own life. How consistent have you been in your actions? How disciplined have you been in pursuing your goals? How often have you given up when things got tough, thinking that effort should produce instant results? The truth is, resilience is not something you are born with. It's something you build. And you build it through consistency. You build it by showing up every day. You build it by committing to your growth even when the process is slow. You build it by trusting that your small daily efforts will compound into greatness. And here's another truth. Consistency builds momentum. The more you show up, the more you do the work, the more you push forward, the easier it becomes to keep going. Momentum is powerful. Momentum is what carries you through the tough days, the setbacks, and the disappointments. Momentum is what allows you to keep fighting when everything inside you says to quit. And that momentum comes from being consistent. Every effort you make, every action you take adds energy to your forward motion. That energy fuels your resilience, preparing you for challenge you haven't even encountered yet. I also want you to understand that consistency is contagious. When you are consistent, when you show up, when you do the work, you inspire others. You create an environment where resilience is normalized. People around you begin to see that persistence pays off. They begin to see that effort, patience, and determination create results. And that collective energy strengthens your own resilience. Surround yourself with people who are committed, consistent, and disciplined. Their energy will lift you. Their habits will influence you. Their mindset will shape your own. That is why consistency is not only a personal habit, it is a force multiplier. Now, let's talk about challenges. Life is going to challenge you. Life is going to test your consistency. You will have days when it feels pointless. You will face obstacles that seem insurmountable. You will encounter setbacks that make you question your effort. And in those moments, most people quit. But resilient people do the opposite. They double down. They show up harder. They work longer. They focus more intensely because they understand that resilience is built into struggle. It is forged in the fire. And the only way to develop that resilience is to be consistent, to persevere, to refuse to quit. Let me give you an example. Look at entrepreneurs, business leaders, innovators. They don't become successful by luck. They fail repeatedly. They face rejection. They encounter setbacks. But what sets them apart is that they continue to work consistently. They show up every day. They put in the hours. They refine their craft. They improve their skills. They push forward no matter what. And that relentless consistency builds resilience. That resilience allows them to survive challenges that would have crushed others. That resilience allows them to see opportunities where others see failure. That resilience allows them to achieve greatness. I need you to understand something else. Consistency is also about commitment to your purpose. It's not enough to work hard for a few days or weeks. True resilience comes from aligning your daily actions with your long-term goals. It comes from committing to the process even when the results are not immediately visible. It comes from understanding that growth, success, and strength are built over time. And when you commit to that process consistently, you develop a resilience that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks. And here's the reality: life will not be perfect. Challenges will come. Failures will happen. Disappointments will strike. People will doubt you. Opportunities will be delayed. And if you are not consistent, if you give up at the first sign of difficulty, your resilience will never grow. But if you persist, if you stay disciplined, if you continue showing up every day, you will grow stronger. You will become tougher. You will develop the mental, emotional, and physical strength to overcome anything. That is the power of consistency. That is the power of resilience. I want you to make a commitment right now. Decide that no matter what happens, you will show up. Decide that no matter how hard it gets, you will continue to work. Decide that even when no one is watching, you will do the work. Say it with me. I will be consistent. I will show up every day. I will do the work. I will build my resilience. I will rise no matter what. Because the moment you make that choice, the moment you commit to consistency, everything changes. The small actions you take every day will compound. Your resilience will grow. Your confidence will increase. Your ability to overcome obstacles will strengthen. And eventually, no challenge, no setback, no failure will be able to stop you. So remember this always. Consistency builds resilience. It is the daily effort, the repeated actions, the commitment to your purpose, the refusal to quit that shapes you into someone unshakable. It is not about instant results. It is about showing up, putting in the work, and trusting the process. It is about being disciplined, persistent, and committed every single day. That is how ordinary people become extraordinary. That is how resilience is developed. That is how you rise, no matter what life throws at you. Adaptability fuels resiliency. I want you to hear me clearly because this is one of the most important truths about success in life. Life is unpredictable. Life is uncertain. Life will throw situations at you that you never expected. Plans will fail. People will disappoint you. Opportunities will change. Circumstances will shift. And the ability to bend, adjust, and adapt. That is what separates those who survive and thrive from those who break under pressure. Resiliency is not just about enduring a storm. It's about learning to dance in the rain, learning to pivot when the plan changes, learning to adjust when the world doesn't cooperate. That is the secret that most people overlook. Adaptability is the fuel that powers resilience. Let me break this down for you. There are people who are strong, and there are people who are resilient. Strength is useful, yes. Strength allows you to push through challenges, to endure pain, to resist pressure. But strength alone is not enough. Strength alone cannot carry you through life's unpredictable challenges. Resilience comes when strength meets adaptability. Resilience comes when you take the blows, when you adjust, when you pivot, when you refuse to be stuck in one way of thinking, in one plan, in one approach. That is what allows you to bounce back no matter how chaotic life becomes. I need you to understand this. Adaptability is a mindset. It is the willingness to change your approach when something isn't working. It is the courage to let go of old habits, old beliefs, and old expectations that no longer serve you. It is the humility to admit that you don't have all the answers and the wisdom to seek new solutions. People resist change because change is uncomfortable. People resist adaptability because it requires them to step into the unknown. But those who master adaptability, those who learn to adjust in the face of adversity, become unstoppable. That is how resiliency grows. It grows when you refuse to be rigid in your thinking and embrace flexibility in action. Think about life for a moment. How many times have your plans gone awry? How many times have you encountered obstacles that you did not anticipate? How many times have things happened that were completely out of your control? The truth is, life is not linear. Life does not unfold according to your schedule. And if you are rigid, if you insist that things must happen a certain way, you will be frustrated. You will be defeated. You will lose momentum. But if you are adaptable, if you learn to pivot, if you adjust your strategies without giving up on your goals, you will continue moving forward. That is the power of adaptability. That is what fuels resilience. Let me give you an example. Think about a river. A river does not fight against the rocks, the curves, or the obstacles in its path. It flows around them. It adapts to the terrain. It finds new routes, and over time, it reaches its destination. That is what adaptability is. It is flow, it is flexibility. It is adjusting without losing your purpose. If you are rigid, you will crash against the obstacles, wasting energy, becoming frustrated, possibly even stopping altogether. But if you are adaptable, you find a way. You adjust. You keep moving. And that is the essence of resiliency. I want you to hear this clearly. Adaptability also requires awareness. You must be aware of your environment, aware of your circumstances, aware of the people around you, and aware of the opportunities and threats that exist. Without awareness, you cannot adapt. You cannot pivot. You cannot change your approach intelligently. Awareness allows you to make decisions based on reality rather than wishful thinking or stubbornness. And once you combine awareness with action, once you take the lessons of each situation and adjust accordingly, that is when resilience becomes unstoppable. Now, I need you to understand that adaptability is not weakness. Some people confuse flexibility with giving up. Think if you adjust your plans or change your approach, you are weak. Absolutely not. Adaptability is strength. It is courage. It is intelligence. It is the ability to respond to challenges without being defeated. It is the recognition that the path to success is rarely straight, and the wisdom to adjust your course without abandoning your destination. That is the hallmark of resilient people. They bend, adapt, but they never break. Think about the most successful people in the world. Every single one of them has faced unexpected challenges. Every single one of them has had to pivot, adapt, and change their approach. The entrepreneur who shifts business models when the market changes. The athlete who adjusts their technique after an injury. The student who finds a new study method when the old one fails. The leader who changes strategy in response to unforeseen circumstances. They are not successful because everything went perfectly. They are successful because they adapted, adjusted, and persevered. That is what fuels resiliency. That is the power of adaptability. I want you to reflect on your own life. How many times have you resisted change? How many times have you refused to adapt? because you were comfortable, because you were afraid, because you thought the old way was the right way. The truth is, stubbornness in the face of adversity will hold you back. Resistance to change will limit your potential. But the moment you embrace adaptability, the moment you allow yourself to pivot, to adjust, to try new approaches, that's the moment you unlock resilience. That is the moment you rise above setbacks and challenges. That is the moment you refuse to be defeated. Adaptability also teaches you humility. It forces you to recognize that you don't have all the answers. It forces you to acknowledge mistakes, failures, and limitations. And in that humility, there is strength. In that humility, there is growth. In that humility, there's the ability to learn and improve. The resilient person does not view change as a threat. They view it as a teacher. They view it as an opportunity to grow. They view it as a chance to refine their approach and become stronger, smarter, and better prepared for the next challenge. I also want to point out that adaptability fuels creativity. When you are flexible, when you adjust to circumstances, when you are willing to try new methods and strategies, you unlock solutions that you never would have discovered otherwise. Challenges become opportunity. Obstacles become lessons. Failures become experiment. And in that creative problem solving, resilience grows. You are no longer limited by rigid thinking. You are no longer trapped by fear or uncertainty. You are empowered to navigate life's challenges with intelligence, courage, and determination. Now listen to me. Adaptability requires courage. It is not easy to change. It is not easy to pivot. It is not easy to let go of old habits, old routines, old expectations. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action despite fear. And every time you take action in the face of uncertainty, every time you adjust when it would be easier to give up, every time you adapt when the world seems against you, you are building resilience. You are becoming unshakable. You are preparing yourself to rise above any challenge, to overcome any obstacle, and to thrive in any circumstance. Think about a tree in a storm. The rigid tree that refuses to bend will break under the pressure. The tree that bends, that adjusts to the wind, that flexes with the storm will survive. It may sway, it may lean, but it endures. That is adaptability. That is resilience. And that's exactly what you need in your life. Life will blow hard. Life will push. Life will challenge. And the only way to survive and thrive is to be adaptable, to bend without breaking, and to keep moving toward your purpose. I want you to make a commitment right now. Decide that no matter what life throws at you, you will be adaptable. Decide that no matter how unexpected the circumstances, you will adjust. Decide that no matter how many times your plans change, you will pivot without giving up on your goals. Say it with me. I will adapt. I will bend without breaking. I will adjust. I will learn. I will grow. I will be resilient. Because the moment you embrace adaptability, the moment you commit to flexibility and action, that is when resilience becomes unstoppable. That is when setbacks no longer defeat you. That's when challenges no longer intimidate you. That is when you rise every single time. Remember this always. Adaptability fuels resiliency. It is the willingness to adjust your thinking, your actions, your strategies, and your approach when life changes. It is the courage to step into the unknown. It is the humility to learn from mistakes. It is the creativity to find new solutions. It is the strength to bend without breaking. And when you master adaptability, when you make it a habit, when you embrace it as a mindset, you unlock the power to overcome any obstacle, recover from any failure, and rise stronger than ever before. Discipline strengthens resiliency. I want you to listen to me carefully because this is one of the cornerstones of success. Resiliency doesn't come from talent alone. It doesn't come from luck. It doesn't come from opportunity. Resiliency comes from discipline, showing up every day, doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, committing to your goals regardless of circumstances, and maintaining control over your actions and choices. Discipline is the muscle that builds resiliency. Without discipline, you will bend, break, and falter when life hits hard. But with discipline, you stand strong. You persevere. You endure. You rise no matter what. Think about it for a second. Life will challenge you. Life will test your patience, your persistence, and your commitment. You will face setbacks, obstacles, disappointments, and failures. And in those moments, most people give up because they have no discipline. They react to emotion. They react to pain. They react to pain. They react to fear. They let temporary discomfort dictate permanent results. But resilient people, those who refuse to be defeated, rely on discipline. Discipline allows them to stay the course. Discipline allows them to keep going when everything inside them screams to quit. Discipline allows them to rise again and again, regardless of circumstance. I need you to understand something crucial. Discipline is not just about routines or schedules. Discipline is about control over your mind and body. Discipline is about choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. Discipline is about doing the hard work consistently, even when it is uncomfortable, inconvenient, or exhausting. Discipline is what keeps you moving forward when the path is uncertain, when the results are delayed, when the world seems against you. That is the essence of resiliency, the ability to endure, to persist, and to rise because discipline has prepared you to do so. Now, let me break this down even further. Discipline allows you to master your reactions. Life will throw challenges at you that are beyond your control. People will disappoint you. Opportunities will be lost. Mistakes will happen. But discipline gives you the power to respond intelligently, not impulsively. Discipline allows you to stay calm in the storm. Discipline allows you to think clearly, act decisively, and maintain control of your future. And that, my friends, is the difference between someone who succumbs to adversity and someone who thrives in spite of it. Resiliency is strengthened through disciplined action. I want you to picture a soldier in training. A soldier doesn't become resilient because the world is easy. They become resilient because they endure pain, push through exhaustion, repeat drills, and maintain focus under extreme pressure. That is discipline. They wake up early, follow routines, and execute tasks consistently even when they don't want to. Every repetitive effort, every disciplined action builds strength, endurance, and resilience. Life works the same way. Your resilience grows when you commit to disciplined action, when you show up consistently, and when you do the work even when it's hard. Discipline also protects you from giving in to temporary temptation. Life is full of distractions and easy ways out. The world will constantly offer comfort, shortcuts, excuses, and ways to avoid our work. But discipline is your armor. Discipline allows you to say no to the things that hold you back. Discipline allows you to focus on the actions that move you forward. Discipline allows you to maintain your purpose, stay aligned with your goals, and continue your journey even when it would be easier to quit. That is how discipline strengthens resiliency. It keeps you on track regardless of external circumstances. Now, I need you to understand that discipline is also a habit. You do not develop it overnight. You cultivate it through consistent action, through repeated effort, through choices made daily. Every time you resist the urge to quit, every time you push yourself to do the work, every time you choose long-term growth over short-term comfort, your discipline strengthens. And every time your discipline strengthens, your resiliency grows. You begin to see challenges as opportunities. You begin to face setbacks without fear. You begin to rise each time life knocks you down. That is the power of disciplined action. That is the foundation of true resilience. Think about athletes, the champions, the legends. Their success is not because they are naturally talented. Talent alone is never enough. Their success comes from discipline. The discipline to train consistently, to follow strict routines, to endure pain, to recover properly, to focus on incremental improvement every day. That discipline is what allows them to rebound from failure, injury, or defeat. That discipline is what makes them resilient. That discipline is what allows them to continue striving for greatness, no matter the obstacle. I also want you to know that discipline builds confidence. When you commit to disciplined action, when you do the work consistently, you develop trust in yourself. You develop trust in your abilities. You develop trust in your capacity to endure challenges, overcome setbacks, and rise again. That confidence fuels resiliency. Because the more you trust yourself, the more you believe in your ability to recover. The more you believe in your ability to handle adversity, the more you are willing to take action, even in difficult circumstances. And that self-trust is rooted in disciplined action. It is cultivated through repeated choices to do what is necessary, even when it is uncomfortable. Let me also tell you something. Discipline teaches patience. Resiliency is not about immediate results. It is about enduring the journey, maintaining effort, and trusting the process. Discipline trains you to do the work without immediate gratification. Discipline allows you to focus on the long-term vision rather than the short-term discomfort. Discipline allows you to continue striving, continuing showing up, continuing to rise, even when it feels like progress is slow. That patience developed through disciplined action is a key pillar of resilience. I need you to hear this clearly. Discipline also strengthens your mental toughness. Life will challenge you in ways you cannot predict. Obstacles, setbacks, failure, they will test your willpower. And without discipline, you will break under pressure. But with discipline, your mind becomes strong. Your mind becomes focused. Your mind becomes unshakable. Discipline allows you to control your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions. Discipline allows you to stay committed when it would be easier to quit. And that mental toughness cultivated through disciplined effort makes your resiliency unstoppable. Now think about your own life. How disciplined have you been in your actions? How often do you follow through on your commitments, even when it's hard? How often do you choose the actions that align with your goals over the easier, more comfortable option? If you want to strengthen your resiliency, you must strengthen your discipline. You must show up consistently, take responsibility for your actions, and push forward, regardless of circumstances. Every choice you make, every action you take, either builds your resilience or weakens it. Discipline is the bridge between adversity and triumph. Discipline is also about ownership. Resiliency grows when you take responsibility for your actions, decisions, and results. Discipline requires that you stop blaming others, stop making excuses, and stop waiting for life to hand you success. Instead, you take control. You commit to your purpose. You follow through on your actions. You do the work consistently. That ownership, that accountability, that self-determination is what strengthens resilience. The more you practice disciplined ownership, the stronger you become, the more resilient you become, and the more unstoppable your journey becomes. Let me give you one more truth. Discipline fuels consistency, and consistency builds momentum, and momentum strengthens resiliency. The actions you take every day, repeated over time, compound into strength. Every small, disciplined choice adds up. Every time you do the hard thing, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it seems insignificant, you are reinforcing your capacity to endure, to persevere, and to rise after setbacks. That is the essence of discipline. It is the engine that powers resilience, the force that carries you through life's challenge, the habit that ensures you keep moving forward no matter what. So I want you to make a commitment right now. Decide today that no matter how hard life gets, no matter how many setbacks you face, no matter how many challenges come your way, you will strengthen your discipline. You will do the work, you will follow through, you will take ownership, you will show up consistently. You will push forward even when it's uncomfortable. Say it with me. I will be disciplined. I will follow through. I will take responsibility. I will show up. I will rise. I will be resilient. Because the moment you commit to discipline, the moment you make it a non-negotiable part of your life, your resiliency becomes unshakable. Remember this always. Discipline strengthens resiliency. It is the daily choices, the consistent effort, the control over your actions and reactions, the ability to endure discomfort, and the commitment to long-term goals that make you unbreakable. Discipline allows you to recover from setbacks, overcome challenges, and rise stronger every single time. It is the bridge between struggle and success. It is the foundation of strength, courage, and perseverance. And when you embrace discipline as a lifestyle, you unlock the true power of resilience. Persistence defines resiliency. I want you to hear me clearly because this is one of the most crucial truths about overcoming life's challenges. Life will not always cooperate with your plans. People will disappoint you. Opportunities will slip away. Obstacles will appear when you least expect it. And in those moments, the difference between those who rise and those who fall is persistence. Persistence is the refusal to quit, the refusal to give in, the refusal to allow temporary failure or disappointment to determine your outcome. It is the habit of moving forward, of taking action, of continuing to fight even when the odds are stacked against you. That is what defines true resiliency. I need you to understand something important. Persistence is not about luck. It's not about talent. It's not about being smarter, stronger, or more gifted than others. Persistence is about commitment. It's about the relentless pursuit of your goals, no matter the obstacles. It's about taking action consistently day after day, even when life seems unfair, even when progress feels slow, even when you feel like giving up. That is the power of persistence. That is what builds resilience. That is what separates ordinary people from extraordinary people. Two people can face the same challenge, the same setback, the same failure. One gives up. They say, it's too hard, and I can't do this, I'll never recover. And they quit. And that becomes their reality. The other person said, this is hard, yes. This is painful, yes, but I will not quit. I will find a way, I will keep moving forward. And that refusal to quit, that persistence transforms their challenge into an opportunity, their setback into a stepping stone, their failure into a lesson. That is the power of persistence. That's what defines resilience. Now, let me break this down further. Persistence is not just about action. It is about belief. It is about the unshakable conviction that your goals, your dreams, your purpose are worth fighting for. No matter how many times you fail, no matter how many times you fall, no matter how many obstacles appear. When you persist, you are telling yourself, I refuse to let temporary setbacks define me. I refuse to give up. I will continue until I succeed. And that belief fuels action, and that action strengthens resiliency. I want you to picture a mountain climber. Every step is difficult. Every handhold is uncertain. Every gust of wind threatens to knock them down. But the climber persists. Step after step, handhold after handhold, breath by breath, they continue moving forward. They may stumble, they may fall, but they get back up. They persist, they push forward. And eventually they reach the summit. That is persistence. That is resiliency in action. That is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary outcomes. Persistence also teaches patience. Most people give up because they want instant results. They want success to happen immediately. They want recognition, reward, and validation now. But persistence is about enduring the journey. It's about showing up consistently, doing the work, and trusting the process, even when the results are delayed. The path to success is rarely straight. It is filled with twists, turns, setbacks, and obstacles. Persistence allows you to stay the course, to keep moving forward, to continue fighting, even when progress feels slow. And that patience, developed through persistence, is what strengthens resilience. Let me also tell you this. Persistence builds confidence. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you continue in the face of adversity, every time you rise after a fall, you prove to yourself that you are capable. You develop trust in your own abilities. You develop the belief that no matter what life throws at you, you can endure, you can overcome, you can rise again. That confidence fuels further persistence, and that persistence over time becomes unstoppable. It creates a cycle of resilience that strengthens with every challenge you face. I need you to understand something else. Persistence requires focus. You cannot persist if you are easily distracted. If you are swayed by criticism, if you are derailed by obstacles, you must maintain focus on your purpose, on your goals, on your vision. You must be willing to block out the noise, the doubts, the negativity, and concentrate on the actions that will move you forward. That focus, combined with persistence, is what transforms setbacks into comebacks and challenges into opportunities. That is what defines resiliency. Think about athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, and innovators. Every one of them has faced moments where giving up would have been easier. Every one of them has encountered failures, disappointments, and obstacles. But what sets them apart is persistence. They refuse to quit. They continue working, learning, growing, and improving. They understood that success is not about avoiding failure. It's about persisting through it. And that persistence built their resilience, allowing them to achieve greatness despite the challenges. Persistence also develops creativity and problem-solving skills. When you refuse to quit, when you persist in the face of obstacles, you are forced to find new solutions. You are forced to think differently, to innovate, to adapt. Obstacles become opportunity solved. Failures become lessons. Challenges become experiments. And in that process, you grow stronger, smarter, and more resilient. Persistence pushes you to keep moving forward even when the obvious path is blocked. And that is the essence of resiliency. Now I need you to hear this clearly. Persistence is a mindset. It is the refusal to allow external circumstances, setbacks, or failures to determine your outcome. It is the commitment to continue, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful, no matter how uncertain. When you adopt this mindset, you are preparing yourself to face life with strength, courage, and determination. You are building a resiliency that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks, criticism, or rejection. Persistence is the mental framework that allows you to endure, recover, and rise stronger every time. Think about your own life for a moment. How many times have you given up because the challenge seemed too great, the results too slow, or the pain too intense? How many opportunities have been lost because you quit too early? I want you to know this. Persistence can change everything. The moment you decide that you will never quit, that you will continue, no matter what, that you will rise each time life knocks you down, your resiliency begins to grow. And every step you take, every action you persist in, reinforces that strength, that courage, that unbreakable spirit. Persistence also builds discipline. Every time you choose to continue in the face of difficulty, you are training yourself to endure, to focus, and to act with intention. You are developing habits that strengthen your mind, your body, and your spirit. You are cultivating the ability to push forward, even when motivation fades, even when circumstances are difficult, and even when progress is slow. That disciplined persistence is what allows you to recover from setbacks faster, adapt to challenges more effectively, and rise stronger each time you fall. I want you to understand something else. Persistence inspires others. When people see your commitment, your determination, your refusal to quit, it motivates them to push harder, to continue, to rise. Your persistence has a ripple effect. It creates an environment where resilience is contagious. The more you persist, the more your mindset strengthens. The more your actions inspire others, the more your own resilience grows. Persistence is not just about your own success. It is about creating a force that elevates everyone around you. Let me also say this. Persistence builds hope. When you refuse to quit, when you keep moving forward, despite setbacks, you are demonstrating that progress is possible, that obstacles can be overcome, that failure is temporary. That hope fuels further action. It strengthens the belief that no matter how difficult life gets, you can endure, you can overcome, and you can succeed. And that hope, nurtured through persistence, becomes an unshakable pillar of resilience that carries you through the toughest challenges. I need you to hear me. Persistence requires courage. It is not easy to continue when the world seems against you, when failure seems inevitable, when pain seems overwhelming. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action in spite of fear. Persistence is a practice of courage. Every time you choose to move forward when you feel like giving up, every time you continue despite doubt, every time you rise after a setback, you are practicing courage. And that courage strengthens your resilience, making you capable of handling anything life throws your way. Now, I want you to make a commitment. Decide today that no matter what happens, you will persist. Decide that no matter how many setbacks you face, you will rise. Decide that no matter difficult, painful, or uncertain life becomes, you will continue taking action. Say it with me. I will persist. I will refuse to quit. I will rise every time I fall. I will keep moving forward. I will be resilient. Because the moment you commit to persistence, the moment you embrace the mindset of never giving up, your resilience becomes unstoppable. Remember this always. Persistence defines resiliency. It is the refusal to quit, the commitment to continue, the courage to act despite fear, the belief in your goals despite obstacles, the discipline to maintain action despite setbacks, and the patience to endure the journey despite delay. Persistence allows you to recover from failures, overcome challenges, and rise stronger every single time. It's the defining characteristic of those who thrive, succeed, and endure. And when you embrace persistence as a lifestyle, you unlock the true power of resilience. Mindset drives resiliency. I want you to hear me clearly, because this is one of the most powerful truths about life and success. Resilience, not just about enduring pain, pushing through obstacles, or persisting through challenges. Resiliency begins in the mind. It starts with the way you think, the beliefs you hold, the attitudes you embrace, and the way you respond to adversity. Your mindset is the lens through which you see the world, and it determines whether setbacks break you or build you. A strong, positive, and determined mindset is the foundation upon which resilience is built. I need you to understand this. The mind is like a muscle. It can be trained, strengthened, and conditioned. Just like the body, if you neglect your mind, if you allow negative thoughts, self-doubt, and fear to dominate, it becomes weak. But if you train your mind, if you cultivate positive thoughts, if you focus on solutions instead of problems, if you embrace growth instead of limitation, your mind becomes unshakable. And when your mind is strong, your resilience becomes unstoppable. Mindset is the fuel that drives every act of courage, every step of persistence, and every moment of adaptation. Think about it. Two people face the same challenge. One sees it as impossible, overwhelming, and defeating. They give up, they complain, they quit. The other sees it as a challenge, an opportunity to learn, an obstacle to overcome. They persevere, they push forward, they rise. The difference is mindset. One allows circumstances to dictate their reality. The other shapes their reality through their perception, their belief, and their attitude. That is the power of mindset. That is what defines resiliency. I want you to hear this clearly. Mindset is also about perspective. Life will not always be fair. Life will not always go as planned. And if you focus solely on what is going wrong, if you fixate on the obstacles, the setbacks, and the failure, you will become overwhelmed, discouraged, and defeated. But if you shift your perspective, you train your mind to see opportunities within adversity, lessons within failure, and strength within struggle, you unlock the power of resilience. Mindset allows you to find a way when no one else sees one, to rise when others fall, and to endure when others quit. A resilient mindset is built through intentional thought and practice. It is developed by choosing to focus on solutions rather than problems. It is cultivated by refusing to be controlled by fear, doubt, or negativity. It is strengthened by repeating affirmation, visualizing success, and reminding yourself daily of your purpose and goals. Every thought you entertain either strengthens your resiliency or weakens it. The choice is yours. And when you make the conscious choice to adopt a strong, positive, and determined mindset, you are laying the foundation for unshakable resilience. Think about athletes, leaders, and successful people. Their accomplishments are not simply the result of skill or opportunity. They are the result of mindset. They have trained their minds to focus on what they can control, to see challenges as opportunities, to persist in the face of setbacks, to respond with determination rather than defeat. Their mindset enables them to endure pain, overcome obstacles, and recover from failure. That is what drives their resiliency. That's what allows them to rise every time they fall. I want you to understand that mindset is also about self-belief. Resilient people believe in their ability to overcome, to endure, and to succeed. They trust themselves to handle whatever life throws at them. And that belief is not blind or naive. It is rooted in preparation, experience, and repeated proof of their capabilities. Every time you face a challenge and rise, every time you overcome a setback, every time you persist through difficulty, you reinforce your self-belief. And that self-belief strengthens your resilience, making it possible to face even greater challenges with confidence. Mindset also influences how you respond to failure. Failure is inevitable. Life will knock you down. Opportunities will be lost. Mistakes will be made. But the resilient mind sees failure not as the end, but as a stepping stone. Failure becomes a lesson, a guide, a teacher. A resilient mindset says, this happened, but I will learn from it. I will grow, I will rise again, stronger, smarter, and better prepared. And that is the essence of resilience. The stronger your mindset, the faster you recover, the quicker you adjust, and the more determined you become after every setback. I need you to hear this. Mindset shapes your actions. If you believe you can succeed, you take action. If you believe you are capable, you persist. If you believe challenges are opportunity, you adapt. Every decision, every effort, every step forward is influenced by your mindset. A resilient mindset produces resilient actions. A negative mindset produces hesitation, fear, and defeat. That is why training your mind is as important, if not more important, than training your skills, your body, or your resources. Resiliency starts in the mind. Think about it like this. Your mind is your compass. It guides your thoughts, decision, and action. A strong mindset keeps you on course, focused, and determined. A weak mindset allows doubt, fear, and negativity to steer you off track. Resilience is simply the ability to recover, adapt, and persist. And that ability is determined first and foremost by the strength of your mind. The more you cultivate a resilient mindset, the more capable you become of handling adversity, overcoming setbacks, and rising stronger every time. Mindset also influences your emotional resilience. Life is going to challenge your emotions. You will feel frustration, disappointment, fear, and pain. But a resilient mindset allows you to process those emotions without being controlled by them. It allows you to maintain focus, act with purpose, and stay committed to your goals, even in the face of intense emotional pressure. Emotional control is a key component of resilience, and it is cultivated through mindset. The stronger your mindset, the stronger your emotional resilience. I want you to reflect on your own life. How often have you been defeated? Not because of lack of effort, skill, or resources, but because of your mindset? How often have you allowed negative thoughts, fear, or doubt to control your action? I want you to know this. Your mindset is under your control. You can choose to cultivate strength, positivity, determination, and confidence. You can choose to train your mind to see challenges as opportunity, setbacks as lessons, and failures as stepping stones. And when you make that choice consistently, your resilience becomes unshakable. Mindset also shapes your long-term vision. Resilient people do not focus solely on immediate difficulties. They see beyond the obstacle, beyond the setback, beyond the failure. They maintain a vision of their goals and purpose, and they let that vision guide their actions, decisions, and persistence. A strong mindset allows you to keep your eyes on the prize, to stay motivated, and to continue moving forward even when life seems chaotic or uncertain. And that long-term focus is a critical component of resiliency. Now, I want you to understand that mindset is reinforced through repetition and affirmation. The thoughts you repeat, the beliefs you hold, the attitudes you embrace, they all shape your resilience. Every time you tell yourself, I can do this, I will overcome, I'm capable, I am strong, you are training your mind, you are strengthening your inner resolve. You are building a mental framework that allows you to endure, adapt, persist, and rise. And over time, that mindset becomes automatic. It becomes a part of who you are. And that is when true resilience is born. I also want you to know that mindset influences your ability to inspire others. When you maintain a resilient mindset, when you rise despite adversity, when you remain positive and determined in the face of challenges, you become a source of strength and motivation for others. Your mindset becomes contagious. The more resilient you are mentally, the more you uplift, motivate, and empower those around you. Mindset is not just personal. It impacts your environment, your relationships, and your community. I want you to make a commitment today. Decide that no matter what happens, you will cultivate a resilient mindset. Decide that no matter how many setbacks, challenges, or obstacles you face, you will maintain belief in yourself, faith in your abilities, and determination to rise. Say it with me. I will train my mind. I will think positively. I will embrace challenges. I will learn from setbacks. I will rise. I will be resilient. Because the moment you commit to a strong mindset, the moment you embrace the power of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your attitudes, your resiliency becomes unstoppable. Remember this always. Mindset drives resiliency. It is the foundation of your ability to endure, adapt, persist, and rise. A strong mindset shapes your thoughts, your actions, your emotional responses, and your long-term vision. A strong mindset allows you to see opportunities in adversity, lessons in failure, and strength in struggle. A strong mindset empowers you to rise every time life knocks you down. And when you cultivate a resilient mindset as a habit and a way of life, you unlock the full power of your potential and become truly unshakable. Now, I want you to take a moment and really hear me. Resiliency is not a trait you are born with. It is a skill you build. It is a choice you make every single day. It is the relentless commitment to rise, to endure, to adapt, to persist, and to continue moving forward, no matter what life throws at you. The lessons we've talked about, the power of purpose, the strength of belief, the discipline to show up, the adaptability to adjust, the courage to face fear, the persistence to keep going. the mindset to think strong, and the consistency to act daily. These are not just ideas. These are actions. These are principles that, when applied, will make you unshakable. They will turn every setback into a comeback. They will transform every failure into a lesson. They will make you unstoppable in the pursuit of your dream. I want you to understand this clearly. Life is going to challenge you. Life is going to hit you hard. People will doubt you. Situations will overwhelm you. Opportunities will vanish. And there will be moments when giving up feels like the only option. But those moments are exactly when you must remind yourself who you are. Resiliency is not about being untested. It is about what you do when you are tested. It is about standing up when everyone else is falling. It is about choosing action over despair. It is about saying, I will rise. I will endure. I will overcome. I will succeed. That is the power of resiliency. That is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Think about it. Every person who has achieved greatness has faced challenges, failures, and setbacks. Every one of them has encountered moments of doubt, fear, and pain. But what sets them apart is their resiliency. They refuse to quit. They refuse to let circumstances define them. They refuse to let failure dictate their future. They embrace the struggle, learn from it, adapted, persisted, and rose stronger each time. Resilience, the engine behind every success story. Without it, potential is wasted. Without it, talent is wasted. Without it, dreams remain dreams. But with it, nothing can stop you. And let me tell you something, resilience is contagious. When you choose to rise after falling, when you choose to persist in the face of difficulty, when you choose to act despite fear, you inspire those around you. Your actions create a ripple effect. You motivate others to push harder, to endure longer, and to rise higher. Your resiliency becomes not just your own, but a force that impacts your family, your community, your workplace, and even the world. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you keep going when others give up, you are creating a legacy of strength and determination. But here's the truth that many people overlook. Resiliency is not easy. It requires work. It requires sacrifice. It requires discipline. It requires courage. It requires patience. It requires adaptability. It requires faith in yourself, belief in your purpose, and a relentless refusal to quit. It requires waking up every day, committing to your goals, taking action, learning from your mistakes, adjusting your approach, and pushing forward no matter how tired, frustrated, or overwhelmed you feel. That is the essence of resilience. That is the path to greatness. That is how ordinary people rise above extraordinary challenges. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about your own life. How often have you faced challenges and felt like quitting? How often have you allowed fear, doubt, or failure to stop you from moving forward? How often have you settled for less than your potential because the journey felt too hard? I want you to understand something. Those moments are opportunities. They are opportunities to strengthen your resiliency, to prove to yourself that you are capable, to rise above circumstances, and to push beyond limits. Every setback, every obstacle, every failure is a stepping stone if you are willing to see it that way. Resiliency turns obstacles into opportunities. Resiliency turns pain into power. Resiliency turns challenges into triumphs. And let me remind you, resiliency is built, not inherited. It is developed through action. It is strengthened through experience. It is reinforced by choice. Every time you show up, every time you persist, every time you rise after a fall, you are building your resilience. Every time you take responsibility for your actions, every time you embrace your purpose, every time you refuse to be defined by fear, or creating an unshakable foundation that would carry you through life's toughest moments. The power of resiliency is within you. It has always been within you. It just requires your commitment to bring it to life. Now, I need you to hear me clearly. Your purpose is your anchor. When life gets chaotic, when challenges feel overwhelming, when fear and doubt creep in, your purpose will keep you steady. Your purpose gives your resiliency direction. Your purpose fuels your persistence. Your purpose strengthens your mindset. Your purpose empowers you to rise again and again, no matter the obstacle. And if you commit to living with purpose, every challenge becomes meaningful, every setback becomes temporary, and every failure becomes an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more determined. Purpose is the heartbeat of resiliency. I also want you to understand that resilience is strengthened by belief. You must believe in yourself, in your abilities, and in your capacity to overcome. You must believe that no matter what happens, you have the power to rise. You must believe that every obstacle is temporary. Every setback is a lesson, and every failure is an opportunity to come back stronger. Belief fuels action. Belief fuels persistence. Belief fuels courage. Without belief, resiliency falters. With belief, you become unstoppable. Your faith in yourself is the foundation upon which every act of resilience is built. Adaptability is another pillar of resiliency. Life will not go according to plan. Circumstances will change, obstacles will appear, and the ability to adjust, to pivot, to bend without breaking, to find new ways forward is what allows you to endure. The rigid break, the flexible survive, the adaptable thrive. When you cultivate adaptability, you build a resilience that can withstand anything life throws at you. You learn to flow with challenges, to adjust your strategy, to keep moving forward even when the path is unclear. Adaptability is the engine that drives continuous growth, and without it, resilience is incomplete. Discipline is equally important. You cannot rely on motivation alone. Motivation fades, excitement wanes, but discipline keeps you moving. Discipline allows you to follow through on your commitments, to take action even when it is uncomfortable, to persist even when it feels hard. Every disciplined action reinforces your ability to endure, strengthens your resilience, and builds confidence in your capacity to overcome. Discipline is the daily practice that transforms intent into action, struggle into growth, and challenges into triumphs. Persistence is the fuel that powers resilience. You will fall. You will encounter setbacks. But the moment you decide to rise, to continue, to take the next step, to show up again, that is when resilience takes root. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you push forward despite adversity, your resiliency grows stronger. You begin to see challenges as opportunity, obstacles as lessons, and failures as stepping stones towards success. Persistence is the unbreakable will to continue. And it is one of the most important forces that will keep you moving forward no matter what. And finally, mindset completes the foundation of resilience. Your thoughts shape your actions. Your beliefs shape your responses. Your perspective determines your results. A strong, determined, positive, and growth-oriented mindset allows you to see possibilities where others see problems. It allows you to respond to adversity with courage and creativity. It allows you to rise every time you fall and persist every time life tries to push you down. Your mindset is the core of resilience. It is the place where strength, belief, discipline, adaptability, and persistence all converge. So I want you to make a commitment right now. Decide that no matter what happens, no matter how many challenges you face, no matter how many setbacks you encounter, you will rise. Decide that you will embrace purpose. Decide that you will cultivate belief. Decide that you will strengthen discipline. Decide that you will adapt. Decide that you will persist. Decide that you will train your mindset. Say it with me. I will rise. I will endure. I will overcome. I will be resilient. Because the moment you commit to that, nothing can stop you. No challenge is too great. No obstacle is too high. No failure is too big. You have within you the power to rise, to endure, to overcome, and to succeed. Remember this, always resiliency or choice. It is your action. It is your action. It is your mindset. It is your commitment. It is the sum of purpose, belief, discipline, adaptability, persistence, and mindset. It is the relentless refusal to quit. It is the courage to continue. It is the determination to rise after every fall. And when you embrace resiliency, when you make it your way of life, when you live it every single day, you will discover a power within you that cannot be shaken, a strength that cannot be defeated, and a future that is limitless. Resiliency is not just surviving, it is thriving. It is thrive. Resiliency is not just enduring, it is conquering. Resilience is the key to unlocking your potential, achieving your dreams, and rising above every challenge that life throws your way.